Tonight on Mississippi Insight, the first debate between Jim Hood and Tate Reeves, plus the two men running for Public Service Commissioner. Hello and welcome to Mississippi Insight. I'm Byron Brown. Thank you for joining us. This past week, we had the first showdown featuring Attorney General Jim Hood and Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves. The two men running for governor went head-to-head at the University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg. 12 News' Jay Biloxa has the highlights.
A fire ignited with the first question. It focused on an investigation into a frontage road project that would connect Republican Tate Reeves' subdivision to a shopping center.
That were sent from your office. You said you had nothing to do with it. And in fact, that is not true. Will you admit that?
I give you 15 seconds to respond to that.
The Attorney General abused his office investigating a political opponent. Everybody knows it. Even the Greenwood Commonwealth, who is certainly no political ally of mine, has said so. And I think the people of Mississippi know it.
The candidates both agree on fixing roads and bridges without raising taxes and increasing teacher pay. And there were plenty of sparks as they got to the heart of the issues.
It so happens that $1,500 pay raise that we propose next year would cost $78 million. So we actually have the money in the bank to pay for it.
Okay. He's taking credit for money that I brought in, the internet sales tax. We attorneys general, that's where those revenues are coming from.
We've cut taxes with the largest tax cut in Mississippi history. The reason our revenues are growing is because our economy is growing, and that's the reason we see increased revenues.
All right, thank you very much. And speaking of...
Some say the search process wasn't transparent in the hiring of Glenn Boyce as chancellor at the University of Mississippi, but that topic took a different turn.
The Attorney General accepted $1 million from the Democrat Governors Association. That's the liberals that run the states of California and New York. And if you want a liberal to run Mississippi, he's your guy.
All right, we kind of
wait a minute now. Hold on. I got
Again, we'll have to ask the audience if we can.
He got $1 million from the Republican Governors Association. He did.
The debate was wrapping up, but the fight was clearly not over when a question was asked from a student as to what they respect about each other.
Now, what I respect most about him, he sure knows how to raise a lot of campaign money.
15 seconds to respond to that. Go ahead, Mr. Reeves.
The reality is, the reason that we've been successful raising campaign money is because the business community in Mississippi is scared to death of having a trial lawyer as our governor.
We'll be right back. Now to the spirited race for Public Service Commissioner for the Central District, responsible for regulating the state's public utilities. Republican Brent Bailey is facing off with Democrat and Jackson City Councilman DeKeither Stamps. 12 News' Gerald Harris spoke with both men.
Hello, I'm joined by Councilman DeKeither Stamps. He's running for Public Service Commissioner on the Democratic side. My first question, it's the easiest question. Why do you want to be Public Service Commissioner for the Central District?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. We appreciate it. The Public Service Commission regulates all your utilities, and we want to be the next Public Service Commissioner for the Central District because we know that it's the best way to help the most people. Everybody from the outhouse to the White House needs proper utilities, and we want to ensure that people in Mississippi have that going forward.
What's going to be some of your priority issues? I know recently with the Public Service Commissioners, we've been focused on robocalls, rural internet service. What's going to be your initiative and something that you're going to push to your constituents?
Well, what we're going to focus on is everywhere we can save money and make money through energy efficiency programs, saving money with our utilities, also to making money with expanding our economy through the utility space by growing it, by pursuing renewable energy, by looking at every way that we can help local government be more efficient and effective.
And speaking of renewable energies, that was going to be my next question. Could we go down some new avenues of energy, solar panels, things of that nature?
Most definitely. These are proven things that are done all over the country, but not to the degree that they should here in Mississippi. And I feel that this is a way to keep our rates low and to be more effective in how we produce energy.
And kind of jumping back previously to something I talked about, which was the robocalls. The Public Service Commissioner works hand in hand with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General
Correct.
to deal with those issues. How can we keep moving those forward to stop getting those annoying robocalls?
Well, the unique thing that we bring to the table is that we can work with everyone. And we feel as that we'll be able to work effectively with our incoming Secretary of State and our incoming Attorney General to ensure that these things get prosecuted and those people get brought to justice for taking away from the privacy of good Mississippians.
And recently, it's something that you've been focused on. Part of the Public Service Commissioning is making sure that water, sewer is treated correctly and you're getting the bang for your buck. And the City of Jackson has dealt with some issues in some of those ways. How can you work with the City of Jackson to ensure that the customer is getting the most money that they can?
Well, we're going to focus on the City of Jackson and the other 96 towns and 22 counties in this district and provide the proper leadership to move that forward, to make sure that people get affordable rates, their services are reliable, and that people can depend on them. And that's one of our major focuses.
And moving forward, how do you make this office better than it was? Not to say that it wasn't good or anything, but kind of put your stamp on the office.
Well, let's back up a second. You know, in our country, veterans have always rebuilt the country after wars. From the American Revolution, we didn't just elect a president. We elected a whole smorgasbord of mayors and council people who were veterans to rebuild the country. Same thing after the Civil War, after World War II. I'm just part of this generation of veterans who are moving forward to make our state and our nation a better place, to rise above some of these partisan politics and to put the people of this state and this state first in every decision that we make, to ensure that going forward, the people win. Because if we don't change Mississippi right now, Mississippi is going down a road from dealing with the Kemper power plant. We're going down a road that we need to change. We need to change this course of direction to make it better. Build off the lessons of the past. Our previous Public Service Commissioner did a great job of educating people on the Public Service Commission's role. Now we must build on that foundation to make it more efficient, to ensure that every level of government in this state is saving money when it comes to utilities, and that we're investing in things that can make money and grow our economy and build and create new jobs. And that's what we're focused on for the next 4 years in the Public Service Commission, is saving money, making money, and creating jobs through this utility space so that we can have jobs for our children to stay here. Because so many of our young people are leaving the state of Mississippi because we don't have the opportunities. And there are some great opportunities in the utility space if we grow that economy, but it has to be intentional. We must not only elect leaders who have vision, we must elect leaders who have the intestinal fortitude and the commitment to make the visions become reality.
And something you'll have your finger on if you're elected is rural broadband, rural internet. The co-ops have been given authorizations to formulate their ideas in rural internet. How do you see that through? How do you make sure that the rural parts of your 22 counties see the benefit of rural internet and rural broadband?
Well, first, when it comes to any new venture, you must identify who's going to pay for it and who has the resources. The ability for our electric cooperatives to pay for that is not there right now. We must grow that local economy, and that's what we're talking about. It's looking at all of the school district properties, in the county properties, in the city properties, so we can look at ways we put solar panels out there and other renewable energies so that we can grow that economy locally. So then the electric cooperatives can partner with those different entities to create a space so that they can afford it. Right now, it costs a lot of money to lay fiber. It really does. So we have to look at ways we can grow our economy so that that local community and those local cooperatives can work together to provide better and more effective services.
And so what the voters should get out of this is that you're going to look at the economy, making sure that the economy is strong for the residents of those 22 counties, and then go on from there.
Well, we're pledging to do this as long as the people allow us to do it. We have a unique background. through our military service and our service to the state of Mississippi since we've been back from the military. And we want to continue to serve and focus on making Mississippi a better place.
Bailey, the Republican nominee for Public Service Commissioner here in the Central District. Great to be here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. Do I need to do something?
No. Take two. 3, 2. Hello, I'm joined by Braden Bailey, the Republican nominee for the Central District Public Service Commissioner. Thank you so much for being here. The first question is the easiest question, and that's why do you want to be the commissioner for the Public Service Division here in Central Mississippi?
Why, absolutely, and I appreciate the opportunity to come share with y'all and visit with the citizens of the Central District, particularly the Jackson area. So I'm certainly seeking the position of the Public Service Commissioner here in the Central District for a number of reasons. Number one, I want to be a watchdog for the consumer. I want to ensure that all rates are fair, services provided are justified, and that if there's issues at the PSC, that they have someone there representing their interests, their needs going forward. Because there's a lot of issues to be looked at, to be determined, to be analyzed in the coming months as well as years ahead here in Central Mississippi. We certainly want to do things like tamp down these robocalls that we continue to get that invades our privacy and many times goes after our most vulnerable Mississippians. We want to help get rural internet out to those areas that are either underserved or non-served to ensure we gap that digital divide and bring those services and help connect rural residents, small businesses, others to the rest of the world, help grow that economic, that economy out in those areas. And also we want to ensure that as far as our energy needs are met, that we look at diversity in our energy portfolio to ensure our consumers are getting the most reliable, most cost-effective energy resources out there.
And as the Public Service Commissioner, we've seen in past that there has been attempts to tamp down on the robocalls, partnering with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. How would your relationship with those entities benefit the people in these 22 counties?
So, you know, there's things we can do at the PSC, and we've seen some changes in state law over the last, with this last legislative session, the Telephone Solicitation Act and the no-call law, that gives the Public Service Commission a little more authority to move beyond the city, the boundaries of the state of Mississippi and get out there and go after these folks that are preying on our citizens here in the state. But to really get after it, we got to have working with the Attorney General's office, our U.S. Attorney Generals, the Federal Communications Commission and others to move beyond our country's borders, because a lot of these are outside the U.S. that are preying on our most vulnerable. And we got to work together collaboratively to ensure we're using all the tools we can, legal, technological, find novel ways to get out there and cease these activities. And it's just going to take a dogged effort by folks like myself and others who are committed to protecting our citizens to work together and ensure we're having the resources necessary, both financial and manpower, to knock this down.
And under your purview, if you're elected, will be not necessarily the regulation of water, but overseeing, making sure that the consumers are not being duped. Would you look at the city of Jackson and the way that their water crisis have been and do an investigation or kind of meet with them and see what's going on so to make sure that the consumers aren't being hoodwinked?
Well, there are opportunities, but we got to recognize what the statutory limitations are over but what the PSC does and does not have authority to provide oversight and regulatory direction. Municipalities are generally exempt from PSC oversight unless consumers are located outside and beyond the city limits at a certain distance, and that does allow the PSC to get involved and help represent those ratepayers in rate matters. And we certainly will, if the opportunity is there, to help advise and provide counsel and ensure consumers are being charged fairly and provided the services promised to them under that ratepayer consumer contract, then yes, we will certainly do what we can, but we do not intend to intentionally overstep our regulatory authority in those matters.
And another issue, if you're elected, that you're going to have your finger on is rural internet. We talked a little bit about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the counties that encompasses the 22 counties don't have the economy such as some of the bigger counties, but they're still in need of rural internet. And previously, the legislature approved co-ops to kind of venture into that area. How can we ensure that everyone has the access to rural broadband and rural internet?
Yeah, so it's going to be something that we're going to have to continue to work with those entities where there's rural electric cooperatives, where there's other service providers here in the state, private, quasi-public-private partnerships to help them find the most cost-effective means of getting the finances they require to help provide those services, and not just basic service, but good upload, download speeds to make it attractive for consumers to acquire those services and pay for them. We know it's going to be difficult in many areas. In some of these areas are extremely rural. It's not cheap to run underground fiber. It's not cheap to provide even a pole-attached fiber. So we may have to continue to look at what are the various technologies out there. Is it all going to be fiber-based? Is it going to be some wireless opportunities out there? And what is that price point that's going to incentivize the consumer to purchase that service? And there's going to be enough of them to help those service providers recoup their investment in the short to medium term. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but there's certainly opportunities over the next few months and next couple of years to bring all this into focus. And as we continue to see technologies improve, become more cost effective, I certainly think we're going to cover that gap and get it there sooner rather than later.
And last question, is there any message that you want to send to the voters right now to say, hey, make sure you check my name?
The whole conversation around utility regulation is something I've been involved in for the last 10 plus years now, working before the Public Service Commission to ensure that ratepayers have a voice. I've been involved in a lot of the dockets, providing testimony, public comments, providing feedback on what should be an effective, efficient utility regulatory structure here in the state. And I believe with my experience, my qualifications, and my education and background in this area, I'm the most logical choice for voters out there come November 5th to be their watchdog, their voice at the Public Service Commission, to ensure their interests are adequately represented starting January for the next 4 years.
All right, Brent Bailey, he's running on the Republican side for the Public Service Commission here in the Central District.
While Tate Reeves and Jim Hood take the stage in Hattiesburg to discuss their ideas for Mississippi's future, people all across the state will be watching, and here in Jackson are finding new ways to engage. Instead of watching alone on the couch, voters left Thursday's governor debate pleased with both candidates' approach.
Tate Reeves, in my opinion, was able to express more facts than what he did in the primaries.
Jim Hood was superb. I thought he came in on the offense. I was really impressed with that.
From education to healthcare, infrastructure, and more, most were pleased to see their biggest issues brought up.
Rural hospitals. Telemedicine is not going to fix rural hospitals. I mean, people that I know in Yazoo City don't have access to internet, so how are they going to talk to their doctor? Talking about teacher pay. My parents raised me. They're both teachers. They all worked so hard in the public education system, and they spent so much of their own money. $1,500 is a drop in the bucket.
And to keep viewers engaged and follow what each candidate discussed, Mississippi Today created a debate bingo game leading to door prizes if completed.
Part of politics is what are people doing? I mean, it's the public. It is a public issue, and so that was fun. And for my 9-year-old daughter who was able to go up there with a bingo card and all that, it was clever. I thought it was a lot of fun.
And don't don't forget, Election Day for Mississippi's general election is November the 5th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Make sure to stick with WJTV, your local election headquarters, for all the latest updates and results. Reporting at the Barrel House in Jackson, Alex Love, 12 News.
That's it for Mississippi Insight. Remember, if you missed any of tonight's program or to see previous episodes, go to our website, WJTV.com. For Gerald Harris and Jade Balexa, I'm Byron Brown. Be sure to join us next Saturday. Until then, make it a good night.